All right, so welcome to Think Africa Week. I see quite a few familiar faces. Some of you had a chance to talk with already, so I know you've been here in previous days. For those of you who don't know, Think Africa Week has been going on already for a few days, but we're going to hear a bit more about that. For now, just like to introduce myself. I'm Thomas Kinnaird. This is my colleague Nathaniel. We're the organizers of today's event. Both of us have also been involved in other days as well, but I think Nathaniel is going to tell a bit more about that. What else? As a bit of an introduction to well, first of all, several of us that are involved in Think Africa, we've got these name tags. So any moment throughout the event, throughout this evening, if you need to ask anything, you can ask any one of us. What I'd like to tell is a bit about Think Africa itself. So this is an association that was formed quite a bit ago, but in this day and age, what Think Africa does is essentially we're an organization that unites thinkers and doers. So we like to make things happen. We like to push for things. There's a lot of talk that happens in Africa, and what we'd like to do is rather than just talk the talk, actually make things happen. And that's what this week's event has largely been about.
Yeah, a little about the history. Thomas already touched it earlier. 2013, university students, group of them got tired of the image what is shown here in Finland about Africa as a continent. And they decided to show the other side of all the potential what is in Africa. So that's the reason why when we started 2013, first Think Africa Week here in Think Company. Since then, Think Africa has grown as to be a community, an association, and we have been having Think Africa Weeks annually. And in previous years, we have had the pleasure to have speakers such as Pekka Haavisto, MP Pekka Haavisto, Wilson Kirva, and also we had international speakers such as Marko Temma from ISATI's Addis Ababa. And Thomas will continue about this year's theme.
So this year's theme is also a week-long event. This year, instead of going from a Monday to a Friday, we've done it slightly differently. We've done it from Tuesday to a Monday, which can seem a bit funny, but I'll explain why. The idea behind all of this is that each day leads nicely into the following day. So we have a theme that's starting with one theme and then leading all the way to the end. Obviously these days already passed, so I'm not going to tell much about them, but just as a bit of an introduction, the first day, this Black Market session, was a bit about people finding their own abilities, their own talents, what they have, how to bring those about, and how to use those for the sake of creating the opportunities. The following 2 days were workshops, so the Wednesday and the Thursday, workshops kind of diving into these found abilities and talents. So looking into those, finding out how to kind of productize those ideas, move them forward, and turn them into something. Today's day, as you can tell from the title, I'll just tell briefly, is more about then viewing failure, but trying to kind of destigmatize that, turning that around into an actual, taking away the aspect of, the negative aspect of it and putting it into positive light. And then on Monday, we've got the wrapping up of all this, which is a matchmaking session. A lot of you have already signed up for this. And the idea is that we'll be in partnership, or we are in partnership with Slush. And through Slush, we have around 40 startups that are interested in emerging markets. And through Think Africa then, we've got in the range of 120, 140?
150 talents.
About 150 talents are registered for this, and we'll be doing a matchmaking then with these companies.
And then we come to today's event. So turn failure into success, how to confront the F word. So like Thomas already mentioned that we want to change the perception of failure as a negative to positive, as a learning experience. And today's agenda, I'll go next slide. So I'll just tell you So we started a little late because still people haven't arrived. So me and Thomas did already introduction of Field Africa Week, and after that we're gonna have interactive panel discussion. We have two panelists who want to share what they have learned from their failures and how they have succeeded in their businesses and in their lives. And after that, 7 o'clock, we're gonna have networking for 2-3 hours, and after that, we're gonna continue the networking at the Helmi in Katu, but we'll give you more information about it after the party.
Right. At this point, I'd like to introduce our panelists. We'll start with Pasi. Sami Juola. Sami, getting my names mixed up here. Sami Juola is the managing director of Earth House, and he's got very extensive experience within Africa, working as an entrepreneur there and leading a very interesting venture from what we were discussing earlier. So I'll give you a few moments to introduce yourself, what it is you've been doing, and we'll then tie that into today's theme as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas and Nahna. Wonderful to be here. Congratulations already for the wonderful week you have almost finished. And it's an honor really to be here and discuss about this subject. We've learned so far, Earth House is all about building homes, building structures, building safe homes, with local work, creating local livelihood. So we believe that all operations should be local. The concept of export, import, especially export in Finland, I think that it's already passed to a certain extent. The only thing that we should be really concentrating on is how to create sustainable business. It could be Finnish owned business around the world, but exporting and spending huge amount of energy, time in transporting goods around the world is not sustainable, period. So it's very simple. I think that we should all be looking at the alternatives to create business that happens in a certain place around the world. And that's basically what we do with the rather complex product, which could be home, it could be school, it could be healthcare center, or basically any structure with very simple way, so that you don't need any special skills or even special tools to create your own building. Thank you.
Thanks, Sami. Next, we've got Lincoln Kaiwan, who's a Ugandan designer, become quite renowned within your own field. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what you have to share with us today. I'll leave it to you now.
So, as the name reads on that slide, my name is Lincoln Kaiwan. I was born in Uganda. I'm Finnish Ugandan at the moment. I just got my actual Finnish. And I came to Finland in 2003 as an exchange student at the University of Art and Design Helsinki. But then it was called Taide-Terveyden Korkeakoulu or TAIK. But now it's actually Art or something. Art University School of Design, Architecture and something. It's more, but anyways, so pretty much in the years leading to my graduation, I was thinking how I should proceed, how I should use the skills that I've got in Finland as a student, and also before graduating from my MA, I studied in my own country, and then in the UK, Germany, and Holland. So I was thinking how to marry all these experiences, and how to package them to create some kind of something different but familiar. And as you will see, these are examples of my work. I try to do objects that you know are simple enough for someone to say, why didn't I think of that? But at the same time, actually, they are serious in that sense. Take, for example, the bookshelf. It's more like, oh, it's actually a shelf, not a shelf, but it's, letters, the alphabet, words, books, so it just makes a lot of sense. And of course, many people ask, what's the space there for? Why isn't it why don't you just continue along? And of course, this is based on my experience when I was, as I mentioned, I was born in Uganda. When I went to school there, we had this alphabet rhyme that we learned at school, and it went like B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So it's kind of going with that, what I learned in school. So that's, I think, a perfect example of, my background as a Ugandan and also the experiences that I've got from elsewhere that I've been living or mainly studying. And of course, the idea is that it should appeal internationally. That, for example, even if someone from China, they have a different calligraphy there, but they know that that's the shelf, probably it's can be used for books. But as you can see, it's not only books there, so one can also interpret the design or the idea the way they wish to. So the user gets to give the product. I don't really call them products, I call them collectibles. The user gets to give the item or artifact the story, so that even if it's a shelf, you can have books there, CDs, etc., etc. So in a nutshell, that's what I do, and hopefully I've maybe given a brief idea of how I came to be a designer. But I think more of this when we have the discussion.
Thank you very much. So, to actual panel discussion, some of you might be familiar with iceberg illusion theory. So you can see the sketch. So it's actually like in success in iceberg is that what you see above the water. So that's a success, and that's what people see. And people don't see what is under the water, or all the steps you have to go through to be successful. So we're going to go this panel discussion going through these all different steps, and we start that our panelists will tell and give examples what these steps meant in their life, in their business, and after that we want that the audience will also share their experiences, because all of us has failed. And I think I failed today. I thought it was casual Friday, and obviously it wasn't. So for next year, I know what to wear. So let's start with the first step, dedication. So which one of you wants to start? What dedication meant in your life, in your business, or?
Well, a good example of dedication and passion, I think that is that if you choose to do this thing, even though there is no really a return on investment in near sight, then I think that the passion must be there as well. So one part of that is that you are not doing it for money, but you're doing it for something else, something that is driving you from inside. And that's kind of a thing that at least has been working so far with me. And it's also the shiny eyes that I sometimes see when I talk with people that maybe in a group like this.
I think I agree with what you just said. Dedication is, there have been so many quotes, I think one from by Steve Jobs about that if you're trying to do something for money, then forget about it. I think for me it's more, it's rather more about the, that I've been running this company for the last 8 years, and I believe I wake up with the same motivation and enthusiasm every day. And it's really, well, thank God I'm a designer, and it's not that I'm a business person. My background is not business, marketing, or whatever. Of course, I've had to learn and incorporate that in what I do today, but so I wasn't really looking at the numbers in the beginning. I didn't really think that, okay, I'm going to do something and then make 1 million units from it and then sell, as many of those units as I can. So it was more rather than, I just want to tell my story. I want to share my experiences. I want to have some solutions as to, what can, how I can better someone's day-to-day activities. So that was more like the starting point. I just wanted to tell my story, and I wasn't thinking that, okay, I'm gonna laugh all the way to the bank of this. So that is very hard to beat. It's very hard to lose motivation when you have that from the get-go. It's the fuel that doesn't really run out.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So now the audience can share or ask more questions about education. If you want to get more examples about in your design business and about Earth House, if you want to get more concrete examples, or would be happy that if you guys would actually share what dedication meant in your life, in your personal life, in business, work. Don't be shy. Good, Sarah.
My question is for Sami. I know with Earth House to Africa, I just had a question, like at what point did you not stop trying?
Well, I'm still at that point. So I think that it's one of those things that it's a question of maintaining and being able to maintain that certain humble mind in terms of where you're going, and I think that I should be definitely looking at somewhere else if I would be thinking that this is it, or that now it's done. It's never done, and especially in the field that I'm in, how we are in, it's a family business. It's practically, I think that it's generations to work on to make it happen in terms of finding safe homes for those maybe 1.2 billion families without a safe home. So it's not our job. I think that it belongs to all of us really, and it should be. People always ask about competition, and we said that there should be more competition in this field. There should be more people. That's why we don't have those production and attending right. It should be, let's make it happen. And there's plenty of business to anyone in the field of construction and building safe homes.
How was it when can you tell more about which countries in Africa is like that?
We are now we have local production set up in Zambia.
Yeah.
We are now also working with this project called Smart Community Village in Namibia. We have a open how would you say, offering in Tanzanian building agency TBA with a joint venture for our technology, so that they would just use our technology to start building the immediate need that they have for public service.
Is anyone else? You have it? Good.
I have a question for both of you, because we talk about dedication. Does it mean, what does dedication mean for you in terms of time? Do you work also in the weekend or full time?
Well, I'm actually working all the time, and I think the beauty of what I do, what I appreciate is that I don't actually regard it as work. It's not like I don't know how accountants or scientists think, but as a designer, it's more about basically, being here and working, having to work in the forest and working, because I don't know where I'm going to get the inspiration from. Or for example, looking at this chair, I'm thinking, okay, is that comfortable? Can I sit on that for like 6 hours? How will my back, take that? So for me, it's a continuous process. And just like Thomas Edison says, actually, Thomas Edison has a lot of quotes concerning failure. He had this, Thomas Edison, I don't know, is the person who invented the light bulb. And he's the one, I'm sure you've seen this meme on Facebook, that I didn't fail 10,000 ways, I just found, 10,000 ways that don't work, something like that. And he has plenty more, but, and also he has one other one that says that actually I didn't consider it as work. I just love doing whatever I did throughout. So it's also about, your perspective. I think everything is much more enjoyable if you actually, depending on how you carry it or take it. If you'd like to say, Finnish winters are, really the worst, I mean, of course there's some good things about Finnish winter, to tell the truth. And of course there's some bad things, but the reality is that there's always going to be the other side of something. So you have to be optimistic enough to always look on the bright side. I think that really gets you going. It influences you, it motivates you. So yeah, to answer your question, I'm working all the time, although I don't consider it as work. I don't have to be at the desk, like actually to work. Because I'm just have to basically think how I use my time. So, but I think this is the perspective I have, and someone could tell you different, but I think it comes down to how you view what you're doing, or how you work, or what you regard as work.
Okay, I will quickly, just I think that the main point is that whether you're working or not, I think that the things and the unconscious mind works all the time, one way or the other, and you can ask questions like, how do we solve this, and what would it look like, and what the solution would be in this particular location, who would be the partners, and this kind of questions that you might have unconsciously given yourself, maybe before you go to bed, or even right now, some things might be going on there, and looking at you, maybe some of the answers will be there. On the other hand, I think that the core is to maintain a free mind and not overload yourself. I think that stress and being in a hurry are the most poor excuses that we have to make poor quality. This was done in a hurry. I think that it's no excuse. And one of the things that there's a saying by this guy, a business coach in the US, he's put it I think quite well. His name is Anthony Robbins. He says that the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the uncertainty you can comfortably live with. So I think that that's also something that we can develop, is it's not about creating certainty, but being able to find and prosper from the uncertainty and the questions that are in the air all the time, in short.
Yeah, do you have questions related to education?
Actually, I wanted to kind of summarize what you wanted to say to have is a quote that says that if you do what you love most, you will never work a day in your life. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a doer and not a talker.
does anyone want to share what dedication meant in their life? No, don't be shy. Nice, thank you.
Okay. Maybe I'll turn around.
Yeah.
You can see. I'm also an artist. And when learning art and learning to paint, it's not a linear thing. You don't keep going the same way up. I've noticed it so many times, so please take it from me. It's like stepwise thing. There's a time when you feel like you're getting better and better, your painting is better, you like it, you're happy, you're motivated. But then comes the plateau when you feel like you don't get better as fast as you would like to. And that's when it hits and you're like, okay, it's never gonna work, I'm never gonna be as good as I want to, this is, oh my god, nothing's happening. But at that point, that's dedication, it's working through the plateau area and keeping doing it instead of just throwing your brush away and saying that I'm never gonna get any better than this, I'm gonna stop. No, but you keep taking the brush up and you keep doing that. Because the next rise is what's just around the corner.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's
Totally
totally
true.
said.
Everything in life is oscillating one way or the other, and I so believe in that as well. That's where you test it. The time is your test learning, and it includes also the down moments.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone else want to share about dedication or ask something related to dedication to our panelists? Or, yeah. Can you speak a little louder?
Dedication, like most of the speakers have said, is consistency.
Yeah.
The ability to believe in what you're going to do and the means of achieving goals. When we return a lot artists,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for like 15 years personally. I've won competition based on abilities, really some international companies from Africa, the really from Africa. I kept on. To me, when we started, it was just I carried a lot of feedback and message, and it's just I was kind of exposed to that kind of life, and growing up. But I was very optimistic that life would be better. I knew that I could pursue my dreams and go on and do. So it has been a journey for me. I started with so many people. 15 years later, I'm still here. I just got my new single, started live with iTunes. Those are the biggest video director from Africa. I posted the video program in hosting about 2 weeks ago. If I work with, I can get big companies here in Finland that does really good. I'm just trying to contact, in promoting this job, and it's passion for me. I just take that a lot of money in shooting that video, and I've been growing it. Sometimes the money don't come directly, but it opens doors for me. It gives contact, and it gives me passion, it gives me satisfaction. When people appreciate it, it takes me around the world as well. So I think I find pleasure. I find happiness in doing this like what I'm doing now. So I think what that's dedication. If you're dedicated to what you're doing, you try all you can.
Right.
You have all the means to do all that is already today, then it's really good, and you feel fulfilled at the end of the day, keep on and to achieve those things you set out to do. And that's good.
I know, well said, and that was dedication. You promoted about your single. Good job. Everyone should do that. Come on. This is an opportunity. There's a lot of people, and we're also streaming this, so good for you. Good luck. So let's go to the next step then. So, which is hard work. So what does hard work mean? Has meant in your life and in your business?
Hard work, well, I'll maybe say what hard work is.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Hard work isn't hard work doesn't necessarily mean that you have to work extra time, or, I mean, if necessary, yes, but I believe in efficiency, that if there's something to do, you get to it, you do it. But it doesn't mean that, for example, I'm very not doubtful, but I'm very much against the traditional work life. That you have the office from 9 to 5. I mean, of course, most of you know that someone is on Facebook at some point during the day, or so it's not really work. So for me, actually, work or hard work is more like you know what you want to do, and then you do it efficiently. By efficient, I mean that you don't have to spend the whole day. You don't be the whole day at the office to do something that needs 30 minutes. You can, just do it in 30 minutes and then find something more, inspirational to do, or take that time off to, I don't know, do whatever, use stress or something like that. So, yeah, that's my definition of hard work. It's more about efficiency.
Yeah.
Getting things done when they need to be done in the shortest amount of time possible.
Okay. What about some?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed with hard work, and I think that it's a state of, it's about maintaining a state of mind where you are proactive more than reactive to any situation that you have in life. It's also part of that state of mind is maintaining the physical state, that you are capable of dealing with the daily, or you like surprises, but when they are not the surprises that you like, you call them problems. So facing any kind of surprise that you face in your daily life, I think that that is the part of it's not really that hard work. It's about maintaining your state of mind, and that state, your physical state, where you are always able to look at things from the perspective or the corner of, let's say, being thankful, being loving, and somehow something that you would like people to do to you as well, whatever that might mean. I think that is the work in life, and everything else follows.
Is this something like both of you just suddenly noticed that you're a hard worker, or was it like a step that you learned it from making mistakes or failing, or how did this come up?
Well, to tell the truth, I find it hard to say that I've been working hard. It's like everybody works.
Yeah.
So I mean, by saying that you're working hard, it's already the other person can ask that have I been doing well? So if actually somebody asks how have you been, I hesitate a bit to ask me how's last week been. I was like busy. I said it and I said busy good, because I don't take it for granted that so what I'm trying to say is that basically working hard is more like it's a concept. To you, having a folder, in the library, that's kind of hard work. And to another person, it could be, the whole day in the library. So it's how you measure those values or qualities or quantities. That's the question. But for me, it's more about the result. That if I can do something in the shortest time possible, but do it to the best of my ability, and get it done and over with, to me that's more like hard work. It's not that I spend like 3, 4, 10 years, days, whatever, trying to do something. So, but of course, this is related to the common goal that we're trying to achieve. So it's it doesn't matter if something as easy as brushing my teeth in the morning to if it takes me like 1 hour to get out of bed and brush my teeth, and then if I just get out, like the moment I get out, like brush my teeth, for the same activity, it doesn't really matter how long I get it done, but it's how I view it. Is it hard work? Is it, well, it took me an hour to brush my teeth, but I got it done. So it's kind of what that's
Yeah.
my perspective.
Yeah. Do you have something to add about it, or should we ask audience?
Well, part of that hard work is the acceptance and real willingness to be also ready to fail. And more you fail, the faster you learn. More you start over, the faster you learn. More you start over, the better you will be. And it's absolutely there. So, especially in Finland, where the culture of failure is almost a taboo, where a company that does not succeed or goes to bankrupt, you are labeled. So it's really, there is no way to be successful without being willing and able and really to do it through the failure.
You need to work hard.
And that's the hard work part of it, really, because then you also come to a situation where you look in the mirror and say, well, is this just a failure? There might go a long periods of time where the failure, like you said, it's part of the cycle of life. That if something is like that, it's never natural. It's man-made. But then, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what about the audience? Can you share about hard work in your life? Sure that you guys have worked hard to get here. Sini?
Well, I think one when you're going to define what it means to different people working in different cultures and different countries and continents is that everybody tends to define it very differently. What hard work is and what it means for in different cultures. And I find it very interesting how in some cultures you might sit the whole day for 8 hours or longer than anyone else. You're considered to work hard, whereas in other cultures you just get everything done in 15 minutes and you off and you work as hard as you need to work that day. And I find that very interesting. And it would be interesting to hear how, for example, working in Africa, you see the differences in the cultures on how work is perceived.
I think there's a question.
Well, the experience that we have, it's like really hard working in terms of willing to work with, let's say, in northwestern and northeastern parts of Zambia where we had projects. Those projects were worked with without any machinery. The machinery that we take for granted, like bulldozers and excavators and machinery that doesn't exist, not near the next, not in the, let's say, a radius of 500 kilometers. So it's amazing how fast, how efficient and ecological and sustainable the way this group of people were able to make things happen. So with the tools that really look medieval you could go 100 years back in Europe to find that sort of skill and I would say also not only skill but also strength and durability. The conditions were not so easy with temperatures rising to close to 40 degrees on daily basis. So pretty hard working. Africa.
Right. So would you see that then as looking at work from a sort of physical versus mental type of work, referring to, for example, in Europe, you're talking about the actual physical,
Right.
groundbreaking, so to speak, work, where
Yeah.
people are hacking away at whatever,
Absolutely.
versus, your office worker that's sitting behind a computer. There's kind of a clear divide between Those guys in the office, they just sit there, you know, legs up in the air type of thing.
Good point. I think that sitting is probably the most dangerous thing that we can do in our lives nowadays.
You stand up. I'm sensing that there's a little bit of like Friday tiredness.
Yeah, maybe open the door here to get some fresh air.
Okay, I think that was a good idea. Let's stand up.
And then, it's a really good point which you raised. That, how do we the concept of work, hard work? What is it? Is it, you know, the day in the office can be as consuming as a day in the jungle, but it's a different kind of concept of work, indeed. And I don't know. What would you say?
Just like I try to say, it's in the beginning is that for me the context of hard work is, you know, it depends on who and where and in what context it's applied to. So it's hard work regardless of where you were, or it's, you know, less work regardless of where you were. So it just depends on who defines it and who's the audience, who is the viewer, and also in what context. Are you being judged? Like, for example, if you're being judged for today's work, right? Could I say that I've been working harder than you have been working, or, you know? So it's, for me, that's how I view this basically. But there's so many elements, and
Right.
Like I said, I don't want to say that, you know, I've been working too hard, you know, then, especially if I don't know how somebody's week has been, or somebody's day. So that's what I meant by that, but it's a very contextual kind of thing.
Okay, now there are many hands.
Thanks for standing up.
Yeah.
So maybe I could, or you go.
Yeah, Kingsley, you can first.
You know, maybe it's rather a contribution to the discussion. Quite often, you know, hard work is kind of having some kind of relationship with, you know, kind of success. Like you work hard and there are chances that you might be successful and things like that. But I just wanted to make a kind of say out the remark that was made by somebody which I think is very nice. It's a researcher from England called George Monbiot. He said, if work was the inevitable result of hard work and enterprise, every woman in Africa would be a millionaire. So I'm just thinking, like, you know, for us, when we think about hard work, sometimes we think there is an equivalent of it in terms of success. It's just what I wanted to contribute.
Yeah, Kingsley.
Okay, maybe I should add a little bit perception to what I think and to what I believe to be hard work, right? First of all, I think it is really, really difficult to find a purpose in life. It's not an easy task. That's why you see a lot of people. If you ask them, for instance, what's your career path? What exactly do you want to do with your life? There are a lot of people, and even if we should try it out now, you will see that a lot of people here will tell you that I'm not still sure of what I want to do or the path I want to follow. So in a sense, it's hard work to find a purpose. And then what happens when you finally find a purpose? Finding a purpose in the other direction gives you fulfillment in life. Because once you find a purpose, and there are a lot of obstacles, you might be facing different kind of problem relating to what you consider to be a purpose for you in life. Let's say, for instance, Nelson Mandela, when he started off thinking that peaceful people must live free in their own land. Most people perceive him to be a terrorist. Margaret Thatcher was one of them. You know, they labeled him. It wasn't that easy for him. And he didn't really take the easiest option. He said, you know what? I quit. And even at the middle of it, when he was even going into jail for, let's say, I think it was on his 22nd year in prison. And then the last regime, before the regime that released him, bonded him in the night, went to his jail, bundled him out and said, you know what? Just quit fighting, we'll give you all the security, the cars, you'll be rich for life. But just quit these things and do it. But the guy looked at them and said, you guys can look it up in the YouTube, it's there. He looked at him and he said to them, you know what? If my people are not free, I am not free. So you can as well keep your cars, you can as well keep your security. When you're ready to let me go, I'll be happy to do it. And be free with my people. So that is hard. It wasn't easy. That's one example. And then I would just say one more example. Let's say for instance in Finland here, right? Everyone is, most foreigners are, nagging about not having a job and not doing, not, living a good life or not wanting the sort of job that they would want to do. How do you equip yourself as a foreigner, right? That you probably don't have enough skill, the language skill. You probably don't have the, the cultural closeness as, what most Finnish employers would prefer. You don't have all these things. Then how do you equate this kind of situation if you want to give yourself, a career purpose in life? That is hard. And then what happens? The easiest option is to just, I could try it. You might end up, taking social or end up, doing whatever every other person is doing because it's easy. But those people, in the words of Napoleon Bonaparte, he said that little mind that can't get subdued by misfortune, but great minds rise above it. And that is hard. It's hard. Because once you're doing something really good, meaningful, it doesn't come cheap. And I'm sure when you get started and until you get to where you are today, it wasn't easy. There must be a lot of challenges here and there. So that's hard work for me, and that's how I define it.
Can I reply to you? On that note, that's a very good point. And but so the difference is that I know what you mean exactly. Is that I just saw that as actually motivation. I channeled it as motivation. So instead of, for example, worrying about my Finnish, I was like, okay, there are this many countries in the world, so I decided to make my business a global business, international, so that I didn't have to. So which is instead of 5 million people, then I'm looking at so many billion people. So yeah, exactly. So you see, it's what you choose to look at. If you think, okay, Finland, the language, you never really get started. And of course, there was a point when, or the times, of course, when I don't know, some other parts of my life that I can easily create an excuse that, maybe I won't go jogging today because, man, I shouldn't 5 out there. But if you really want to go jogging, you will go jogging. There's no question about that. So you have to really think hard. You have to realize that is this impetus? Is it actually making me look on the sides? Is it or am I just going to look at this hill and not look around the hill? Like how can I cut corners? How can I make this to my advantage? So, but that's how I actually started. And so it wasn't, if it were that, yes, everything is hunky-dory, I'd have just looked at the Finnish market. But, I have a larger clientele because of the fact that, I had to look elsewhere. That's just one example I can give, and it's based on my experience, so I'm not like blind.
You had it? Yeah.
So.
I just want to add something, just a comment,
Yeah.
shortly. I was listening to Miles Monroe like a couple of days ago, and he said something about work. He said the root word, I forgot the Greek, of work means to become. So it is not necessarily essentially the strength or that is being applied, but the vision behind and what it is that you want to be. Because work means to become. But traditionally, we've been made to think work means energy, which is erroneous, really, the root word of it, basically. That's the second.
May I just comment?
Of course, of course.
On a couple of points that
Yeah.
you mentioned about. First of all, I think that you raised good points out. The focus in your life, whatever you focus on, will grow. It will grow. It will start to grow, and that goes with both, whether that's a positive thing or a negative thing. So keep your mind in positive things, and it will grow. If you concentrate and focus on your negative things in life, you'll be surprised how negative your life will be, and you will face exactly the things that you fear. On the other hand, I believe that if you focus on the positive things in life, those are the things that you will also be living. With the hard work part of it, I think that you probably know as well that, and most of us, all of you do, I've been learning and learning. I'm a slow learner, but all the valuable things in life are really something that you gain through hard work. Whether that's anything in life, whether that's, it has to be hard work. Easy comes, easy goes, and that's so true.
You get appreciated more.
No, yeah. And sometimes you only appreciate things after you've lost them. Help me, man.
Yeah. Okay, there.
Sorry, I think sorry about that. I didn't get the names of this.
There's Samuel and Lincoln Kaiwa.
Sorry, like from my own experience and from what I've seen amongst the team, I see that you can't just create a box around hard work and put your definition inside. The truth is that it's a relative thing. As a mother, a nursing mother, hard work means something different. And as a business person, hard work means different things. I understand how it's been difficult for foreigners to get things they love to do, getting it done in Finland. That is a challenge, and I will always recommend that people should try as much as possible to participate in the integration process. But then I don't want to use that box around the concept of hard work. If you have the bigger picture in your brain, you also see that there are other advantages you can take. There are other issues you can take advantage of in Finland. It could be partnership. Partnership does not necessarily language. I remember I was coming from Turkey and very much on my thing, a guy who sat next to me, I was minding my business and he was talking to me. When he said, oh, sorry, are you in Nigeria? And I said, yes. Yes. No, sorry, I have a friend who is in Nigeria. He was just trying to chat me up in spite of the fact that I was not ready for the conversation. But his energy was what I'm used to him. And he said that I'm a business person in Senegal. And I was thinking, that's why I had to. So he said, I've been trying to float a business. I'm a team, I'm trying to float a business in Senegal. I let you that we are making our progress slowly. And I was trying to do that. I said, this is able to kind of put yourself into that culture where you, because Senegal they speak French. It's not good. And he is spoken. Yes, the country has been relatively peaceful. And of course, Senegal has about 98% Muslims, which is very well. So I said, how do you think you'll be able to kind of mix with it, overcome those challenges? Because it has some partners, some network within the system, people guiding through the system, and be able to manage it with
So, if you ask a question that where can I get this thing from 5,000 people, you are likely to get much more input from 5,000 people than 250. That is my opinion. Anyway. So it could be social as well. So I don't want us to really create a box around the concept of hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we should go to the next step, which is good habits. Could you, Samyan, you can give us an example of what good habits mean, what have meant in your life and maybe in your business?
I think by this I can just say, based on the fact that I do business in Finland, it's in my experience with the Finnish work ethic. I would say it supports that. But the thing says they're going to do it. They're going to do it. We were talking in the do I produce the products here? I mentioned that. I do all the products apart from 3 products. I happen to do some in St. Petersburg in Russia. And I understand there's a different work ethic there, so I have to be ready for that. But in general, I just have to, one has to be aware of the situation you're working in and also how you actually behave in that situation. So if I'm, doing business in general, of course, good business ethics or common sense is that you actually keep your word and deliver on what you promise to do, and it should be the best quality, and also something should be done to the best of your ability. But also, of course, the soft skills that the things that you learn in school and the things that you pick up along the way that they're not really teaching in school, which can help you go actually a long way.
Is there any good habits that you have got from Uganda which you don't think that maybe?
Actually, to say, I've always been telling this that the way I live is that with every society or culture, if this is like an international bar, the things that are acceptable in some societies and the things that are questionable in some societies. So what I do is that I try to merge the good in both cultures, and that's how I do it. And it doesn't matter if I'm in Finland or if I'm back at home. Now that I had the chance to live, both in Finland and Uganda, so there's some things that, for example, female emancipation. It's something that's not maybe encouraged as much as it should in Uganda, but I feel that I should actually make it known that it's important. I do believe that without Africa would have been a long way, for example, if women had the same rights as men. But of course, I know this is a general problem around the world. Even Finland, which has one of the highest female emancipation ratios, there's still issues, but that's just me. But anyways, I try to live with this. I try to carry this spirit with me wherever I go. It's this nice balance of. For example, I'm very much aware that things, for example, are not very good small circles, but it doesn't mean that I also just shut up myself. I'm just maybe in a position that I'm more receptive. That if somebody asks me a question, actually, I'm ready to answer. But at the same time, I respect their privacy. Or I know that I shouldn't talk, but it doesn't mean that I don't take that for weakness. I'm aware of the facts and just try not to use that against the defense, for example.
That was a good example.
So,
What about you, Sami?
It's part of this thing is part of the thing that I mentioned earlier about maintaining your state of mind, and also state of physical some sort of alertness and capability, responsibility, and even more probably proactive, being open-minded. One of the habits, by the way, something that at least here in Finland, I spend quite a bit of time also outside of Finland to be able to appreciate also other climates and other types of environments. But in Finland, one of the good things, the other side of the coin, like someone said, the cold winter also gives an opportunity to keep in the ice cold sea every morning. And it's a great way to wake up for a November day.
Better than coffee.
Yeah, it's better than coffee. I don't. Yeah. So this kind of an experience, it's like even though the sun goes down and never really you don't see it, maybe a couple of hours during the month of January, something like that, ridiculous. This is like an inner sun that you are able to wake in your body every morning, and it's an amazing feeling. And on the 0.1 degree Celsius water, that thing, it doesn't freeze up because there's this thing that keeps it open. Try it. It's wonderful. And more you do it on frequent basis, it's going to have a great effect, at least from my own experience. Now for 2 years. Also no sickness. Please don't.
Do you think that habits can also be kind of like self-discovery, like in the sense of discovering what for you as your own personality works for you best? If I give an example, for example, in a failure aspect, I remember one workplace that I used to work at, I was learning the job from another person, and this person was teaching me that, yeah, this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. And in the beginning, I was kind of replicating more or less what she was doing. And then I realized that after some time, there was a more social side of it, or a way in which I had to engage with other people. And one example of this was that she would always send emails. And then I was thinking to myself that, well, in my case, this doesn't really work. That first of all, you send something, then you have to wait for it to come back, then that person responds to you, then you realize, oh no, they didn't even understand what you asked, so you send another thing, and it just goes on and becomes something long. And then I realized that, well, for me, I prefer just to pick up the phone, call, and in 2 minutes, it's done. And I realized that at least for me, that was my way of approaching the situation, and my own way of dealing it as best as I knew how. So in that sense, also having habits that are also kind of a self-discovery, or knowing what works for you best, not just like procedural habits.
And habits can be as well self-destruction, depending on what kind of habits you have. And we have, we know our probably our habits. We should be really working on daily basis to be rather critical about our habits. And I think that it's a tuning process on everyday basis on how you work with your habits, and being also honest about the bad ones, and being able to replace them maybe with the better ones. Sometimes the habits that we get used to can be also the trap that keeps us not going forward. And you can learn from the masters, definitely, but then you have to tune your own habits to be able to do whatever best you might become. That's at least my daily part of the daily routine to try to and want to be able to develop and have this growing.
I think it's a question of knowing what works for you, and knowing what the situation is expected of you, and how you can actually reach that. So for example, like you said, that calling, also I prefer calling than emailing, because it's much faster, and also there's no lost communication. I mean, you have to, as you've probably seen, most people write with smiley faces, because when you're talking, it's very easy to someone can really judge your tone, and know if you're mad, happy, or just being your normal self, which you really can do with the writing. So I also, for example, prefer calling, because then the person gets the best tone of the message, and maybe it's also very easy to react to what I trying to communicate. So, for example, if I say, yeah, should we meet at the metro, and then I don't have to wait for the person to, for example, mail me back There could be that, oh, I'm going to be like 20 minutes late, but or we come up with something and it's not like this back and forth. So
It's a discourse.
exactly, and everything gets done maybe pretty fast. So yeah, I think.
You had a question.
No, no question. Thought more like
Okay.
I have two very good habits. One, I'm going to take the ice sleeping. Taking care of your physiology. Because if you have a poor diet, you haven't slept, you have an awful stomachache, you can't think. You can't concentrate on anything you're doing. So
Right.
eating your vitamins, getting your sleep, getting your exercise, that's a very good habit. And then the other one that's more related to the topic of today is picking yourself up after you fail.
Right.
Every single time. You don't stay in the mud, but you pick yourself up and you try again. And you also remind yourself that even though I failed, you keep telling yourself again and again that I can still do things. I failed, but I'm not a failure. So,
Big difference.
yes, it's that picking yourself up and taking care of your physiology, I think that's two very important habits.
Yeah.
Well, I actually think that good habits sometimes should be changed.
Right.
Yeah, I want to share my personal experience.
Yeah.
I have a very good habit to get up in the morning with the sunrise. And my Finnish friends told me your habit need to be changed in the winter. So yeah, so you can understand.
Adjustment.
Yeah.
So I really want a little bit more detail about the ice dip.
Yeah.
How to do that?
Well, I always say I live in Western Helsinki. I live about 95 kilometers west of Helsinki in Tammisaari. And you just go to the city hall and you get a key that is that you get to the area there. They have a public swimming kind of a place with a dressing room for male and females, and then they maintain this dipping place where you can go all the year around, especially the winter time. They have heated kind of a pathway that you walk to the heated stairs, and there's it's like a bubble maker that keeps the water open even in minus 25 degrees. So you might have to have a slight thin ice that you have to kind of get away in a really cold morning. But
Okay. I think, no? Okay.
it's possible here also in Helsinki. They have locations. You just Google ice swimming.
So normal swimming facilities.
Yeah, it's nothing in the house.
It's outside. It's like a lake. It's ice. It's a hole, and you just dip in. So it's not you're not swimming though, or you can't try, but
You don't
it's pretty freezing.
you don't need to put your-
Yeah.
It's a very, I've tried it before, and I can say, wow, it's amazing. You feel like you're born again. It's like,
There you go.
You will wake up.
Yeah.
You will wake
Yeah, you will wake up definitely. Go in the morning.
It's one of
then?
the best things I've
Yeah.
ever done here in Finland.
No need for caffeine.
Yeah.
Real ice. It's amazing.
Actually, Think Africa team took last year slush. This year also, but last year we started that we took slush guests so they could experience this, and we took them last year. I'm going to do it this year again. So we might inform if some of you want to join us and try it.
Real winter, Avanto.
Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah, Avanto, we're going to do that. Okay, I think you had a question.
Yes.
You want to say something?
Oh, I think everyone has a bit bad habit and good habit. And I think you two are going to be the top question.
Yeah.
But my question is, so you are successful people, and so you knew how to turn the bad habit to the good habits.
Not always.
Yes.
Sometimes it just you don't have any other choice. Sometimes it just it knocks you down one way or the other. If you find yourself in a hospital and somebody tells you that hey something has to change, then you probably realize. So it's not really you who realize it, but somebody tells you that something has to change.
Yeah.
from own experience.
Okay. But my question is, we need to know what is the good habit. So what were your bad habits and what are your good habits now? That's my question.
I think in general, as you see, I'm well like dodging all the questions. There's nothing there's nothing absolute. That's what you should know, and you should the second open-mindedness that you're talking about.
Right.
That you should keep this open, perspective on things. I mean, of course, you should be aware of what your good habits are and your bad habits are, but most importantly is that you shouldn't punish yourself unnecessarily. You shouldn't. What works for someone else might not work for you. So, and also that, most importantly, there's what society describes as good habits and what society describes as bad habits. But I think in this context, actually, like for example, if you know that, for example, you hate talking on the phone, you kind of, if you're trying to close the deal with the client, you prefer to write, then I think this is what you're talking about. So I think it's more about working towards those, or understanding if you're getting most from, for example, if you don't want to call, but calling is going to get you to close the deal, then you have to teach yourself how to do it. There are mentors who help with this kind of thing, like maybe count to 10 or breathe or something like that. So this is what we're talking about really, that it's how to learn from what you regard as the bad habits to make it to your benefit, how you can go around it, how you can learn to control it, how you can let it make you be a better person with whatever you are going through. So, but like I said, there's really generally no bad habit in the business sense or in this context that we're talking about. It's more about how to overcome it, how to work around it, how to compensate for it. Because nobody is pretty much the same. I like I'm a morning person, so I like to send my emails in the morning, and there's some people who work in the night, and so it's. But I know that, for example, most people don't like it if they get an email from me first thing in the morning. So I try to send it in the afternoon. This is what I'm talking about. That you have to be kind of flexible in that sense, and so it's not the other bad habits and good habits, but it's more about adjusting yourself, and
Okay.
I think that's what.
Okay. I still give two people. You and then Yana. Okay. You.
So, I'd love to hear what you have to say about something that I think is a very good habit, and it's surrounding yourself with the right people. And as you, Sami, you mentioned something that I really like. You mentioned the people with the shiny eyes, so people who have a passion that you're kind of trying to, that they're having too, and in these like low moments, they can be the ones to bring you up or remind you why what you're doing and those things. So if you could talk a bit of your experience in that sense.
Absolutely, fantastic point. I think that love your family, choose your friends, and really, I mean, who you spend your time with is who you become. So that's probably one of the core things that you have in life. We would like to say that, and we would like to see ourselves as individuals who, never mind what they think. Bullshit. I mean, human beings are primarily, it's all about the crew and the people who are surrounding them. There was a survey by actually it was a U.S. general who wanted to know what happens to the U.S. Marine Corps, why these one of the hardest picked and I mean selected individuals physically and also mentally what happens to them and why they will be thrown away only 2 years after they've been out of service. What happens to them and why? And the point is that in the core, once they are there, they know the values and they share the values in a group. Some of the hardest values in life in terms of physical work and being able to resist or all sort of stuff. And then once they go back to the neighborhood where they grew, suddenly it's okay. Come on, it's, just one, whatever. And come on, let's have a beer. And suddenly it's the saying that if you spend your time with dogs, you end up with fleas. It's simple as that. That's how they. You are exactly right. Choose your friends. Who you spend your time with is who you become. Therefore, it's your choice.
Okay. I just want to add on that, and it's a Jerome quote that says that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with.
Average.
You are the average of the 5 people that you spend your most time with.
Yeah, I was so afraid I would drop it.
Well, although I must add that in my situation is that maybe the interesting question is how do you choose your friends? Is it is it because you speak the same language? Is it because you're from the same country? Is it because you share the same values? I think that's the most important question when it comes to choosing your friends. I, for one, for example, I think I'm a curious person, so I'd like to meet the oddest or the weirdest of people. Believe me, or, what people regard as odd or weird. But I just want to have this rich, broad, not similar friends. Exactly. Not so I'm not choosing my friends because we both went to the same university. I think I'd be missing out a lot because we're all there, so we probably saw the same thing. But I try to let it organically, like I let my friends organically actually meet me or I meet them. So it's not. I try to have as much a varied structure of friends,
Not
but
limit.
also not limit. But the most important thing is, of course, this filtering process. That, of course, when you meet them and there are opportunities to embarrass yourself or let them embarrass themselves or embarrass each other, then you get to know, is this good friend good for me? Am I, of what benefit? Am I wasting their time? Are they wasting my time? Because you might be wasting their time as well. So you have to think of it that way. But it's anyways to keep this open. You never know really what you're going to learn from them. But of course you have to have this filter system that, okay, what do I regard as a responsible friend or a good friend or an honest friend or who am I going to bounce around the ideas with or something like that? I think that's the most important question. Not how you that your friends are from either the same university, same school, female, only female or only male. So it's having this open-minded pool of how you actually meet the people who are going to become your friends.
Can I just share quickly practical tips that I have learned myself? Even though it's simple, it's actually sometimes quite hard to stick to it. But if you have a goal, try to do every day at least one small thing to get closer to your goal. And sometimes it's really difficult to get over procrastination. So in order to overcome that, tell yourself, don't be too hard on yourself. Just tell yourself, okay, I'm going to start and do it only for 5 minutes.
Right.
Then you do it for 5 minutes, and then you actually realize that it's not so bad. Actually, I can I will finish it. But at the same time, if it's something that you really don't like to, then just drop it and do it again maybe later. So the 5-minute rule is actually quite efficient. So any task, if you want to get through a bunch of emails or dishes or
Yeah.
yeah.
That was good.
So let's go to that disappointment. Yeah, what has disappointment meant in your life or in your work?
Well, disappointment is something. It's a little bit like a feeling, and any feeling. I think that feelings come and go. But it's not something that it's not a train that you should jump on and stay on it. I mean, you can look through it and see it pass by, but you shouldn't stick to it. And the same goes with other negative feelings. I think that it's good to realize them and be somehow objective to them. Choose the feelings that you want to live with and the trains that you want to be on. I think that's how it works with any emotion or feeling. And also understanding whether that's a disappointment, sadness, a moment of this oscillation where you feel down. Take it as an appreciation of the moment that you know that you will be feeling better soon, as an example.
I think disappointment by definition is something that it's not, it's not the worst. I mean, there's continuity. I'm disappointed that I didn't make it in time today, or it means that there's an opportunity to make it in time tomorrow. So basically, if you have that, I mean, of course, you are sad or down because of that brief moment, but the word in itself is that it's or by definition it's something temporary, but there's an opportunity to make it right. So I think it's just the most important thing is to learn from that. The next time, okay, if I want to be from disappointed that I got here late, the next time I leave maybe 10 minutes earlier so that I can be in time. So I think it's just about as you probably noticed, is that I try to create all kinds of good excuses from all the kind of negative things, disappointments, and I just looked at this and I'm like, okay, it's time I come late, but hey, there's always next time to maybe come earlier, or there's always next time to do it better. I mean, of course, in that state you are feeling maybe not so good about yourself, but being that there's an opportunity to do right or make up for it next time, I think that's the most important thing. And I mean, this is human nature. We're not like, I don't want to sit here like a saint, like everything is okay. No, this is life, and this is the richness of it. That, we fail, we get up, you fall, you pick yourself up. That's the beauty of it. If it were that, let me give an example. If everybody parked a Mercedes SL6 out there, some of us would be aiming for maybe, I want a Bugatti then. How come everybody has a Mercedes? Yeah. You know what I mean? So as human beings, we are insatiable. We just keep hoping and wishing, and So, for me, it was important to realize that, okay, I just have to make the most of what I have. I build on that, see a disappointment as something that can motivate me to do something better, not like it's at the end of the road. No, it's more like something to build on, something to learn from, and after all, there's nothing that, like I said, if we all had Mercedes, some of us would have to go and Bugattis.
And one more point, as an example here, failure, disappointment, and not being successful. I worked in a trainer's house, and we had also shifts to do work in the it was called the machine room, which was the room where we were supposed to, and we were working to get the appointments for client meetings. And there was this one guy who was always so happy, no matter what happened. And I was wondering, what do you think when you call and you clearly get a no for an answer? Yeah, but I know that for every no, a yes is one call closer. So I think that, that is wow, what an attitude.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, that's true.
it's like saying, this Italian guy, Renzo Rosso, he runs this diesel company in Italy. So it's still, it's not a public company, he owns it. He has a saying that in his office world, there was a saying that problems make me happy. I was wondering, what the hell, I mean, if your attitude in life is that problems make me happy, what kind of a guy is that? Happy guy.
Okay, does the audience have, okay? Sini and then Sarah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, on the light of the subject of the day, for the fear of failure, there's such a big barrier for people to get started with things because they're so afraid of the disappointment or the failure. So first question is that before you got started, whatever you're passionate about, did you feel that, and did it take you a long time to get over it? Yeah, that's the question.
A personal thing, yeah, I got a divorce about almost 3 years ago, and basically I was more than disappointed. I was devastated for a period of time before I kind of. But I would say that as an overall experience, I was never really depressed. I think that it's also the question of these other values in life, and how you can, what good you can see in the worst things in life, and finding those. I think we human beings have a capability of overcoming. Even though I believe I'm a relatively healthy person and living in this amazing, this is not real life living in Finland. It's like a bubble in many ways. No. So again, putting things in perspective. But I would say that time I maintained myself with these habits that I also created with dipping in the sea and yoga and stuff like that, which I don't know, I can't say the exact time period to how long it did take, but I never really got to a point where I was ready to say that, well, what a failure I am. Yes, those moments were there.
Do you want to also answer that question? Or do you have something to say in connection with that?
Yeah, just something. I read a book once about happiness, and it was an extensive study done over, 10 years or so. And one underlying thing that they found in the study was that whatever level of happiness you have, at the general level that you are at all the time, and if something happens, like something really amazing happens, you win the lottery, and then for someone, or something horrible happens, divorce or death or something, you lose an arm or something like that. So you have this level, you're on it like this, and something happens, good or bad, and you go like this. And they say that it's about a year and a half. Wherever you are, you'll kind of revert back. Right. So whether, the disappointment, no matter how big it is, underlying level of happiness is where you are. Then there's things that can make those better. So, you improve other things in your life, and you get that underlying happiness to go up. But in general, whatever happens, good or bad, disappointments and achievements, so I think that kind of also fuels you to do more, because, you achieve, you get up to that plateau, and you achieve something really great, but then after a while, it's like, well, now what? You kind of come down from that, and then it pushes you, like, humans need something to work at, so it pushes you to move forward, go, and do something more.
Yeah. Okay. Sarah, you had a question?
Yeah, no, it was more of a comment.
Okay.
And I think you could probably agree with me. So this is more like an experience. But when we started this Chamber of Commerce 4 years ago, so we had this same failure to launch sort of fear and that you wanted to start and people were like, don't do it, you don't have funding, it's not going to work, so many. But then I think we gave it so much hard work, and then again, our definition of hard work was working 24 hours, no sleep, not getting paid, and just spamming Finnish SMEs like that. But then we reached that point of disappointment when we learned that the reason we were disappointed at some point was we were expecting a lot from people. So what I've learned over this year is that, at least for me in this whole Finland-Africa trade, is when you expect too much from either the Finnish side or the African side, you get disappointed easily and really fast. So then we made it a good habit of ours to just say, okay, here's the thing, let's not expect too much. Maybe they're not ready, okay? Let's not push Africa or Ghana too much, and Sami will attest to that because we've done so much work with them for Ghana, and the good habit we picked up was also learning that, okay, you give it the hard work, you will get disappointed, but don't expect too much. So I think the whole disappointment that this was an experience and a learning process for us, at least for the chamber. We learned that we expected too much, so we got disappointed easily. And then the thing that made the whole hard work sort of productive then was we learned to work with other people. So I'm guessing with you having to do Finland, Africa, you learned, or at least for me, over the years, I learned that I cannot do everything. So if I can't do it, I just give it to the people who are experienced. And I think in life, it's also important to learn that you cannot be a champion of everything.
Can I agree to that?
Yeah.
So hopefully by what you mean that by that not expect too much, does this have to do with the vision? Because
we had a vision, and we did some termed it building castles in the air, but I don't think it was about the vision. It was more about it's the way we approached the business idea.
Yeah.
You just would approach a company in Isokure.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to Namibia?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not even figured out how to do business within Finland.
I
So
think-
that was the problem.
So
we
that's
had.
that's why I asked that, because it was just that you actually just thought about a different way of doing it. It's not about changing the vision, because I use this attitude that how bad can it get, or how worse can it get if I hit rock bottom, So it's like if I believe I have nothing to lose after that point, then I just so that's kind of keeps me going. But overall, it's more like I still have the big vision, and then if I tried A, B, C and it didn't work, I'm going to try, D, E, F or something like that. So it's not about changing your vision, but being tactical, kind of like a chess game, that you just have to find your way to that vision. So, basically, I'm happy that you sound that you anyways.
Yeah, well, at least we're accepting the disappointments in the UK, and I think we were just a bit too hard on ourselves.
More about adapting and trying something else.
And it's also, if I just quickly comment on that one, that it's also, it's not about you can lose the match, but it doesn't mean that you quit. And you can lose the match in a way that you lose because of the environment, conditions, a better opponent. It's clearly, I play tennis, so basically, I may lose the match, but if I lose it to, Roger Federer, I wouldn't mind.
I think we have to go to the next step because we don't have that much time. Sacrifice. We have only 2 steps, and then what kind of sacrifice have you done?
Sacrifice. I mean, what am I sacrificing? And what am I, in the traditional sense, I think it's more about choice. It's not really sacrifice, because it's weighing choices, of course. But I'd like to look at the making a choice than looking at sacrifice. Because sacrifice is very negative. I sacrificed my, Jesus sacrificed himself for us. So I always try to look at the positive side of it. So it's more about weighing choices. For me, that sounds better.
Yeah.
That if I do this, if I choose A over B, what returns am I getting? So I look at it that way. I'm not sacrificing it. It's not like, okay, there, I can get back to it later, but in this case, it's about prioritizing that, knowing which to prioritize and what to come later. So, but again, this is my approach to it's this psyche that I have that I'm trying to see the good in things.
Knowing the purpose, in the bigger picture and trying to get there. Yeah. What about you, Sonny?
I agree. The thing basically that people have a different understanding of and different perspective of the uncertainty, living in uncertainty, and basically some people can live with uncertainty to amounts that other people cannot, and that's also human, and that's, I think that something that we should be aware of. If you can carry a load and live in a huge uncertainty, it doesn't mean necessarily that people around you can take the same load. So I think that the sacrifice or the choices that you make is a better word, and being aware that people are different, we are different, and the amount of time, effort, uncertainty that you are able to carry does not equal to someone else, and that way you easily look from somebody else's perspective that you are sacrificing your life, even though you are just playing the ball.
Yeah.
So it's not black and white again.
Okay, so does anyone else want to comment, or should we go to the next step?
I feel like we did not really get the answers to the questions that she asked, because I really want to know that too. So it was about how you guys got started. Is it possible to?
How we get started?
Yeah, like how did you, were you afraid? Were you like, oh man, how do I do this? Do I go forward? And how did you get started with your business?
Just like, so basically, when I was just living, when I finished doing my final work, I had these questions that what do I want to do, but also what would the society let me do, and what am I capable of doing, what resources do I have. So the first, of course, thinking was that, okay, I'm going to apply to any Finnish, either Marimekko, ETAL or something like that. But at the same time, after having that question, I also asked myself that if there's an opportunity to do this by myself, would I actually really get it done? And also, at that point, I started Googling, for example. The startup scene is pretty huge in Finland for a reason. For example, there's Slush next week, and you get some kind of was it for a one-person company get I think is it 4,000, 5,000 euros to start a company. And then you have these startup centers where they give their services such as counseling. You get a mentor to tell you how to, register the company, how to, the necessary, for example, business planning, the rules you have to abide by to have a business. And also there are other subsidies and that you can actually get from the Finnish state. I kind of started in a way that, okay, weighing the opportunities and seeing, you know, but then again I was like, okay, if I try this and then I fail, you know, at least I wouldn't regret it like 20, 30, 40 years later. So it was more like, as they say, Russian swimming school, that you just dove in and, you know, just try to figure to get to the shore. But yeah, it's a combination of both. I mean, you have to do some background research. You have to know what's on the market, what your neighbor is doing, what you can offer differently. I mean, I'd like to believe that I'm trying to do, my style is not the same as you know, my colleagues that I got it with, so that we're telling, I'm trying to tell a different story from what they're telling, meaning that of course there's some kind of competition, but it's different because anyways I'm trying to do something different. So it's more like what can I, if I'm doing this, what's the new thing that I'm bringing to the table? How can I do it differently or better than the person who's already doing it? Because, you know, of course, most of the things have been invented apart from, you know, the cures of cancer and HIV, but this is what I mean, that anyways, you know, there are different cell phone companies, so of course Apple is dominating, but, you know, still, if you believe that you have an idea that it's going to be different, better than Apple, then, you know, go for it. I mean, there's no way of knowing.
Can I expand on this question? That did you have an element of fear, or was there some kind of what ifs or something?
Of course, I had, but like I said, it was more like Russian swim school. I had to get in there and try to figure out to swim to get that shore. So, of course, when you're studying the business, unless you know, somebody's giving you a sack of money to start the business, but if you're studying it with your own resources, of course, you have these questions which present themselves as fear or uncertainty. But I think it's the most important thing is looking at those with an objective kind of. I mean, everybody's afraid to start a business, or not everybody, but most people are. Depending on the circumstances, like I said, you have to start with money. But anyways, there are questions to ask yourself naturally, which is normal. But I think the most important thing, how you view those questions. How are you going to look at them? Are you going to look at them objectively, or because what society thinks about, like, because for example, I'm aware of people tell me that, or if somebody asks, what do you do? I say, well, guess. You know, so of course somebody's going to say, nobody's going to guess designer. You know, so that's what I mean. That if you kind of think that, okay, you know, no one in society is going to accept me as a designer, then you are going to end up doing something else. But if you believe that, okay, you know, I've studied for this and I've prepared for this and I have made a story to tell, and you know, I'm really going to give it a shot, then of course there's an opportunity for you. Yeah.
Do you want something else to tell
Yes.
you? Yeah.
Fear, the concept of fear, basically, I think you need a certain amount of fear to keep you alive. But then you think that the risk-taking, calculated risks that you take in life, you should always take one. I think that if you pass that, then I think that the main risk is that you pass the whole life and nothing really happens. I think that it's part of the success to fail both and having that. It's not really even courage, but it's not considering that part of fear as an element. It's just another feeling. It's a train that you shouldn't be on. So forget about the fear, take the risk, and just do it. Execution is everything.
But also, fear, it's more like, it's not necessarily realistic, it's more like this mirage that, you know, you're afraid that You know, if you don't do it, something will happen. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It's,
And mostly judgment. They're afraid of being judged.
Yeah, that's the good point.
Yeah, it's actually more of being judged than what is out there.
That's why you need to choose the right people around you, who are not
exactly.
judging, who
Yeah.
are encouraging.
Yeah.
That's about the people again.
Yeah.
Choosing the right people around you, and it's not about the shame. Forget the the shame, the fear of being rejected, and all that. That's part of the the whole fear thing. Forget about it. Go beyond that.
can I just tell one story?
Of course.
There's, I mean, Steve Jobs, I would say, is one greatest example of, and everybody says that, well, I say Steve Jobs because everybody's familiar with what he did. He lost his he founded the company, he lost his own company, and then he
was
came,
kicked out.
exactly, he was kicked out, and then he came back again, and then he came back again and was taking only $1 per year, and but his story is remarkable because if you actually look at Steve Jobs as Steve Jobs, this is someone who was successful in every sense of what society deems as successful, but he was very simple in dressing, and it was more about being understood than being misunderstood, and what this company can do to change your life, better your life. So, and if you look at Apple, and if you look at Nokia, for example, which because they are phone companies, Apple it's very, to tell the truth, iPhones are very intuitive. It doesn't come with a manual. You just figure out how to use it, and all Nokia phones had a manual. That's a huge difference. You don't want to have something you use every day, and you have to take a manual how to use it. Yeah. So it's the usability. I mean, of course, there's so many other elements, but clearly, the product was very intuitive, and etc. But this is what I mean. That he had a vision, and he failed, got up, and here we are. He's gone, but his legacy is still different.
I also learned that he had a saying that every morning he woke up and looked at me in the mirror and say that the things that I'm going to do today, if this was the last day of my life, would I still be doing these things? And if that was going on too long, he said that no, not a way. Then he had to change something.
I think you already touched the fear of failure, and failing is also important, but you have to learn from that. So what have you learned from failure?
That there's always another day to make up another opportunity. How to not to do the same thing again. I mean, these are things that are easy to say. It almost sounds like a cliche, but you eventually learn. I mean, you have to learn. Otherwise, you really that's it. If you keep doing something, a couple of times, and with the same, of course, context, the same situation, the same input, and it doesn't work, then you clearly have to kind of change. And for me, I think failure, it's more like a learning curve. It's I mean, how else would you know it works? If failure doesn't fail, then it works. It doesn't work. So basically, failure is something that works, but it just doesn't work in that instance. So it's that's my outlook and view.
Well, it comes to the very beginning, and your question basically about I wasn't really aware of what was lying ahead. I wasn't aware of the hard times and the difficult times and the choices that I would be have to and forced to make. And that's how it should be. I mean, life will have the answers, and we would find it. And you should really just embrace the fear in terms of making it happen. And don't be afraid to fail. I mean, that's the only way to success. And from the Earth House point of view, I think that we are not that iceberg that you can see yet. We are still there under the water. So for us, the first major deals are still ahead. But then, from my perspective, it's just a question of time. Success is also relative in that. I think that for us, the success is still something lying ahead, and many mistakes in between.
Yeah. I think we have been touching all these steps like when you guys have been asking questions, and I think Sarah already touched this, and we're going to discuss about persistence. Having the vision, like where you're going, if it doesn't work, then you need to go around 24 to get this somewhere else. So what does persistence has meant in your, can you guys give like some concrete examples? Maybe when you're doing the design, there have been like moments you're like, okay, this doesn't work, I'm going to try something else, or maybe then you have created something which is now really known product.
Well,
for example, there is, I'll just use one concrete example. There is an idea, I don't know if you had it in the slide, the cloud tracks. I had it for 8 years, and it's the cloud track. And the only way to have done it 8 years ago was with the use of the traditional injection mold technique, how they make like plastic things. And for 8 years, and it was also in the New York Times as it wasn't ready on the market yet. But I found that it's very expensive because each hanger needed a mold. It has this, it's like a shape of a dinosaur. It's this one here, but it's cut off. But anyways, I had it for 8 years, and I kept getting these emails about it. Is it ready? What can you get it? What's the situation? Blah, blah, blah. But I just thought that it's not the best way. The injection mold technique is not the best way to use it, because plastic, as they make plastic, it leaves this ugly seam where they mold it. But during the same time, 3D printing has been getting more popular. So in a way, and also the 3D printing firm thought that it couldn't work. They haven't really done something like that before, that it's used for mainly making like prototypes or scale models.
Right.
But it's during that process that actually the company that now produces those also became more self-aware that they can actually do not only like scaled models or tiny prototypes, but they can actually do already products. But and it's the reason why I thought this would work is that it's instant. It's unlike injection mold that you need to have like a big bucket of molten plastic. With this 3D printing, you just print the parts that you need, so nothing goes to waste, and also it's very cost effective, that you just print the parts that you need and not have to make a mold for as you can see, there are so many hangers, so I didn't have to make separate molds for that. So I think that's 8 years, but I got it.
Well, from my perspective and your perspective, I think that it's still being here, and with even limited resources, willing to have the vision, make it happen, have the right partner, and like for you, it's a little bit the same, believing that it can be done, and making it happen. And just really, I think that making it happen is the point that resistance is all about. And you have to do it. I mean, you have the obstacles, and we have the obstacles in life. And at the moment you think that you are not going to get anywhere further, you already passed beyond where you will soon have the solution. It's also opening up new ways to find the resourcefulness within you, but not only within you, but within the people, the right people again, that you have around you.
I think you guys were touching all of these topics that we wanted to mention, and we have like learning from mistakes, and there's like 3 things which are required to learning from your mistakes are putting yourself in a situation where you can make interesting mistakes, and having self-confidence to admit them, and being courageous about making changes. And I think you guys touched all of these, and also the audience would ask and make good comments already. So I think, and then there's building learning culture, and that's what also Lincoln and Sarah was mentioning about that. In Finland specifically, like failure is taboo, like Sami said. But I think creating the step process approaching failure is how to detect failure and why we should detect it. Can you give us some maybe advice about that? Is there like something why we should detect failure?
I think this all comes down to the self. You have to be real with yourself. You have to know,
Honest.
exactly, you have to be honest with yourself. I mean, we can lie to another person, but if you lie to yourself, then it's the word. Exactly. So it's a question of failure, knowing, how to, I mean, you're not gonna do it, you're not gonna make it better if you don't really confront, or you don't get down to the heart of things, like how did I go wrong, or how did I, you can convince yourself that, I really get a good presentation, but if you're really not a good presenter, or if you don't, I'll accept the feedback you get. If 9 out of 10 people say, you're maybe not a good speaker, so maybe you should really kind of think about that and try to make yourself better. There are all kinds of workshops you can do, you can try speaking in front of a mirror or something like that, but it all comes from the self, being honest with yourself, of course learning from the mistake. If that opportunity doesn't present itself, you can't know that. For example, I'm very aware that I'm not a very good speaker. I'm a better doer than speaker, but I just try to, maybe use as genuine examples as I can, or I try to, anyways, speak from my perspective, and I try to be very inclusive. I don't say like in general I think this is like this, but I think that in my opinion this is how I see things, or something like that. But yeah, I mean it's honesty. That's you know yourself, because of experience or the feedback you get, or what you think like what you can do better, how you fail, and how to make it.
Okay, what about you, Sami? How we can apply learning to failure?
Well, I think that the main, I think that if you don't admit first of all that you do mistakes, then you are also refusing to learn. Simple as that. So basically, failing and growing go together, and it should be seen as an opportunity more than anything.
Okay, I think we are done with this panel discussion, but if you guys still have a couple of questions, you can now ask that, and after that, we're going to continue for the network. Okay, Kingsley.
I would like to ask for the clarification where the money is
We're going to inform, it's going to be up 13, it's again quite an But we're going to give that information. Yeah.
So first of all, I want to thank you two very much. This was for me, although not an event. So yeah, I'm really excited about this and everything I feel. And I'm a designer, so I'll be seeing you. Just
Is it
say,
fashion?
just put in your stuff there.
Is it fashion?
Yes.
I'll be happy to help.
Okay, Kingsley?
So I would just
Can you
like-
please do it shortly because we have one person.
I
Yeah.
know that everyone can sound like- Anyway, I just like this word, sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to just, make two comparison and probably relate it to our Finnish friends.
Yeah.
Many of us understood in this country that Finland actually waged the war against Russia. That was a big sacrifice. But most of the youth today, they don't even understand it. Probably some part of the problem might be that probably they are not well informed.
Yeah.
If you think of what those guys did then, comparing those, tiny Finland standing against Russia versus country like Estonia and Riga, they refused to fight. And you know what come out of it? The result was that the actual military personnel or the casualties that Finland sustained, the total number of the casualties that Finland sustained was way, way lesser than those countries that refused to fight Russia. So what does that mean? It means that sacrifice is something that we should, sort of acknowledge, and at the same time, live our lives also, not just to put ourselves in the middle, in the center of everything, and then live some sort of selfish life, which have actually ruined a lot of things. To sacrifice is actually something that is very, very important.
Yeah.
It is good to actually relate with one another and share with people, even when you don't even see what is on the other side of the coin.
Thank you. And the last question for a lady in the back. Yeah, sorry.
I don't want to discuss with you all.
No.
I work in the field of development,
Yeah.
cooperation, and in this field perhaps more than most, failure is a taboo because you are perhaps working with some people's money for the benefit of other people, and it is very sensitive. But I just wanted to make a proposal for this evening that we would erase the word failure from our personal vocabularies and replace that with, trials that we would run. So that perhaps we can get over this fear of trying. That's all. Thanks.
I know the perfect ending for this. We want to thank Sami and Ethan for coming here. It's really interesting panel discussion, and all of you hopefully can continue this with Sami and Ethan if they're able to stay for a little while. We wanted to, of course, thank you for participating, and we have a really small present for you. So on behalf of Think Africa.
So one more thing. Excuse me, can I have your attention please? Just a few final things before we get to what we're all waiting for. Yes, the drinks are there, we're all thirsty. It's a Friday. But before we get to that, we'd just like to say special thanks to our sponsors. We've got Nokia and Panimo, who have very kindly agreed to give us some beer for tonight to make all of us very happy and wrap up this week on a nice method. Latte Cafe has sponsored us with coffee for the whole entire week. Next time you're in Turku, you're waiting for that, whether it's a Wizz Air flight to wherever, or whether you're catching the Viking line to some other fancy destination, make sure to pass by their small cafe, have a nice coffee, have a tea, and all the other fantastic goods they sell. The Cock, yes, the Cock. I'll leave that up to your own imaginations, but have.
Good restaurant.
It's a good restaurant.
Exactly.
Some of us have been there already, apparently. I
Some
have
of
to
you-
go there as well now.
And some of you tasted their salad as an opening event and also on Wednesday's event, so I definitely recommend to go and eat there.
Enjoy that. And last but not least, Brooklyn Cafe. Maybe some of you tried the smoked cupcakes already. Delicious, fantastic. These guys are in V School, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So next time you're in that area of Helsinki, make sure to at least just stop by there and say thanks very much. We enjoyed your free cupcakes out there.
And we wanted to
I think
also
Africa
mention
events.
that this event was partnered with Impact Igloo, so we want to thank them also for helping us organizing this event. And before we go to the networking, we would like to ask Think Africa team to come here, so you guys could see them. Yeah, sorry, Plan Finland was also our partner on the Wednesday event, so we want to thank them, of course. Can I get all Team Africa members here?
Most of us.
Okay, we're gonna in a couple of weeks gonna have an event for if any of you are interested to become a member or volunteer for Think Africa. We always want more people to come and help us to roll this to something amazing. And then Rana?
Yeah, and then we also have special thanks to one person without whom this whole week would not have happened, and that is our coordinator, Tina. So we would like to thank her. Thank you.
Thank you all, but could you all stand up because this is your week and you're the ones who make it happen. So thanks all for coming. Let's enjoy tonight.
Yes.
And get rid of the chairs and
we're gonna do that.
formalities
Yeah.
and mingle up and talk to each other and get to know each other.
And just one more thing. I promise this is the last one. We're going to get to networking right after this, but there's an after party starting at 11 o'clock at Helmi. Entrance is €5, but we hope to see as many of you there as possible, where we can continue networking in a different form. Thanks very much.
Thank you.